Harmonic generation. Should I add it to the master channel or should I add it to the individual tracks? Well, let's find out. Here's a simple song and a simple section with a simple guitar solo. Okay, so that's the starting point. It sounds like there might have been a bit of harmonic generation already, but never mind, we'll add some more. So, in the master channel here, I'm going to add the Slate Digital Virtual Mix Rack. So that's how it starts off, and I don't need all of those. I'm not going to use the EQs, so I'll get rid of that, and I'll get rid of that. And I'm not going to use this compressor, so I'll get rid of that. But I'll use the rest of them. So we've got a virtual channel here, which seems to be set to Brit 4K-E, which I'm guessing is an emulation of an SSL 4000E. I might be wrong, but who knows? It sounds quite likely. And then we've got this other one called Revival, and I'm not sure whether it's an emulation of anything. It looks really old and battered, though, so that should make it sound really good, shouldn't it? That's what I call wit. In my world. And at the end we've got a trimmer. I'm not sure whether it changed to the sound, but we will probably need it to adjust the levels. So we'll just see about that. So let's get that in a good position on the screen. And I'm going to start off with just the virtual channel, so just this. So the controls that are going to make the most difference here, we've got the input control, and as you can see it's ganged with the output control, and that's so that it doesn't change the overall level. You can just drive the channel harder. And we've got another control here called drive. Now, I don't remember the SSL 4000E having a drive control, but maybe that's my faulty memory. We'll see how that works. I'll probably start with the drive on 0. So I'm going to start off just by playing around with the input level controls and see what results we get. I'm going to go to some quite extreme settings, so you will hear things that you don't like, and I will hear things that I don't like. But I just like to get to that point where I feel as though I've heard everything and I can make a balanced decision on where the right point is. So here we go. Let's play it through and find out what the input control can do. Okay, it can do plenty. Let's do the bypass test. So I'll put it on full, and I'll just click the channel in and out. In fact, I'll click it out with this control here. Okay, so we can definitely hear that does something. Let me take the input down to 0 again, and we'll just have a go with the drive control, see what that does. So I'll just put it back in again. That definitely is a more subtle effect, and it's a bit hard to hear, but let's try it again. I think we might hear it more with the input set higher, so let's just go all the way and let's give it a real thrashing. I can definitely hear it now. So I'm going to have a play around with the controls to find something that I like. So let's go back to the start again. That sounds quite good to me. Whether it sounds good to you, it's all a matter of subjective opinion. But this is how I quite like it. Sorry, I'm just going to do the bypass test again. I feel as though it's made it a little bit louder, so can I do that with the numbers? No, it doesn't look like it. So I'll just take it down by a decibel. I don't know why I'm going so precisely. It doesn't really matter, does it? So let's just try in and out once again. In fact, what I'll do is put those back in. I'll use the bypass of the whole thing. Okay, it's adding a little bit of extra liveliness to the sound. I'll take that out, and we'll put this revival in, and let's see what it can do. We've got these shimmer and thickness controls, so let's do them one at a time. So the shimmer is quite a subtle effect, while the thickness, it does definitely thicken it up considerably in the low frequency end of the spectrum. So again, I'm going to try and find settings that I like. I suspect more shimmer and less thickness, but let's see. Okay, somewhere around there, and we'll try the bypass test again. Okay, it's a small difference, but small differences are often very well worth having. So I'm going to try all three now, and I might just make some fine detailed adjustments here and there. Let's just see. Okay, I can see I've got a nasty little clip light going on there, so I'm just going to have to check that and fix it with the trimmer, I guess. So I think round about there it's good enough for the purpose of demonstration. Let's try the bypass in and out, and I'll adjust the trim if I need to. It's just a little bit louder, I feel, so let's take it down by another half a decibel. Another half a decibel, I think. Round about there. Okay, I think that's round about what I want. I want a subtle effect that you've really got to quite listen hard for. So it's not standing out like a sore thumb. It's just a subtle enhancement, and small changes can be important. So what I'm going to do now is do some bouncing. So first of all, I'll take that out. Well, I'll make it inactive. So the plugin is totally inactive now. And I can make a bounce of the flat track. So let's just make sure that's where I was before in my little practice before I started videoing. So this is none, VMR none. So we're on interleaved, so we're on interleaved, 24-bit, 44.1, import after bounce, and offline, so it doesn't take too much. Oh, let's listen to it. No, it's going to bounce. It's going to bounce all the way to the end of the session, and there's some more stuff which is not on the screen. So I'll do it again. We'll just do it offline, and that'll be quicker. Yep. Import the track, and I'll mute it because we don't need it just yet. So what I'm going to do now is put the VMR in the channels. So I'm going to copy that. So it's got the same settings. I'm going to to just put it down one rung on the ladder and then make it active. So in reality, you'd really want to adjust the settings for each channel, and not every channel would need it. But this is just an interesting experiment just to see what happens. So I'll copy this with the settings to all of the other tracks, except the reverb. I don't want it on there. So this one here is inactive, and all of these are now active with the same settings that I had before. I can deactivate them all. It's a little bit slow. Oh, let's get the right let's get the right key combination. Here we go. It's a little bit slow and it can disrupt the audio, but we'll have a go with it anyway. So let's play it through, and I'll deactivate it and reactivate it so you can hear what the difference is. Here we go. Okay, so it sounds like it's doing a similar thing to having the VMR in the master, but we'll see in just a second whether that is true. I can see now that I've made a bit of a mistake there and I forgot to bounce the VMR in the master. So I'm going to go back and do that, and maybe I'll edit the video and just put things in the right order, but it won't make any difference ultimately. So let's bounce that, and this is going to be VMR in the channels. Okay. And import it and mute it just for the moment. And now what I'm going to do is deactivate all of those, reactivate that one, and I can bounce it like I should have done previously with the VMR in the master. So here we go. VMR master. Okay, that's good. So we've got these three here. So we've got VMR none, VMR channels, and VMR master. And I can make those active again. We're going to ignore all these tracks over here. We're not going to hear them. I'm going to use these solo buttons here so that I can compare the three different versions. So let me just flip backwards and forwards between the three different versions. I need to take that VMR out there so that we're not listening to that as well. Here we go. The effect is quite subtle, but the more you listen to it, the more your ears get tuned in to the sound of it. And what I'm thinking at this moment, I'd have to probably listen to it a bit more to make a final decision, but I'm finding the flat version, it sounds a bit dull in comparison to the others. Not dull in the sense of the frequency balance, but it doesn't have the same interest and excitement just quite. So let's just listen to that by itself. And compare it with the channels. There's that extra little bit of fizz and sparkle in the VMR in the channels. Let me compare the original with the VMR in the master. What I'm hearing here is slightly different, and once again, it's a subjective response to it. But you often hear people talk about glue, the idea that you can put a processor in. It's either going to be a compressor or a harmonic generator, and it's going to somehow combine the individual instruments and vocals, if there are any, together. It's like someone makes an oil painting and everything looks wonderful when they've finished painting it, but after the paint is dried, they put a coat of varnish on it and it pulls all the colours together. That's what I've heard people say anyway, and it's I think it's quite a decent analogy, to be honest. What I'm hearing here is the difference between the no VMR and the VMR in the master. It's not adding the fizz and sparkle and excitement of the VMR in the channels, but it is adding glue. And I'm going to say, go out on a limb here, it's just a little bit more glue than having the VMR in the channels. So let me flip back between these two and see what you think about that. So start off with channels. My money goes to the VMR in the master on this occasion. You know, I ran through all of this previously before I started videoing, and the settings were slightly different. And to be honest, I did prefer the VMR in the channels. So that demonstrates to me, at least, that it can go either way. And that's not a bad thing, because you have all these options to play with and you can find the result that suits you. So I'm going to say that a little bit of harmonic generation in the master or in the channels can be a good thing, as long as you don't overdo it. So let's have one list. Oh, I forgot. Sorry about this. I forgot about this. I was going to give you a run through of all the rest of what's going on here, but I kind of missed that out. But here's what the rest of what's going on, just to be complete. Here's a bus. This is in the solo guitar, and that's sending a signal to this reverb here. Once again, it's the Slate Digital Verb Suite Classics. I don't get paid for this, you know. I just use it because I like it, and these are not the only plugins that I like, but I do like them. And this is just rolling off a little bit of the low frequency from the reverb. Sometimes that's a useful thing to do. But this last one, we are going to use this, and this is the Flux Stereo tool. Just get rid of that bus, we don't need it. And what this is going to show us is the difference between the left and the right channels. And I'm going to do it in quite a weird way. So this is one weird trick like this on the internet. I'm going to pan the original one all the way to the left. And I'm going to pan the harmonic generation ones to the right. And I'm going to test them out in pairs, like that. So this isn't the kind of thing that you would do regularly for normal recording, but it does help tune your ears into the differences in the sound, because it'll show up in the stereo image that you hear. You'd have to listen on headphones, because on loudspeakers it's very difficult to hear the difference. But on headphones you will notice it. You might have to listen out and really try and focus in, but it's a good test of whether there is a difference or whether there isn't much of a difference at all. And also we'll see it in the stereo tool, because the left channel will go in this direction here and the right channel will go in this direction here. So this is going to be the original, and this is going to be the harmonic generation version, and it's going to make like a squiggle in the middle. If they were the same, you just get a straight line all the way up and down, just exactly dead straight. But the squiggliness, if that's a word, that will show us how different the two versions are. So let me just play it. I think I might have to adjust the level, but we'll just see. Yeah, that's gone up in level, hasn't it? I'll just bring that down by 3 decibels, is my guess. That's because the pan law. Oh, that's another video. That's another video, and I do have another video on that. But let's just even it out so the level doesn't change. Let's have a listen and a look. It's interesting. What I can hear is it's just pulling the high frequencies over to my right ear, and your right ear as well if you've got your headphones on the right way round. But that's not constant, it's dependent on the level of the signal. And we can see it in here, how the squiggle is flipping from left to right. And it seems to me that it's the louder notes, the louder bits that are making it go to the right. So just listen and watch again. So the point of this is to help tune your ears in to be able to hear the effect clearly. And often, seeing a visual representation, you can't rely on a visual representation of anything. It's what it sounds like that's important. But it can help your interpretation and understanding and your oral awareness of what things sound like to see it reflected in a visual kind of view. Let's do the same thing with... So this is the flat version without the harmonics, and this is with the VMR in the master, and we'll see something similar. I'm not hearing quite so much. I'm seeing as much, but I'm not hearing the fizz pull over to the right ear like I did in the previous example. So I would have to listen to that more to become more aware of the details. So there we have it. I'm just going to try, it just occurred to me now, I haven't tried this before. I'm going to take that out and I'm going to solo that one there, and I'll put that on the left, and we'll see the difference between VMR in the channels and VMR in the master in this same kind of stereo test. Let's go. Oh, that is different. I'm glad I tried that. What we can see is that these two versions with the VMR in the channels and the VMR in the master are a lot more similar than comparing either of the VMR versions with the original. So we've got an almost mono sound and it's going straight up and down, but it's got that little bit of twitch showing that those two methods are indeed different, even though the VMR has the same settings for both of the methods. Okay, that's good. I'm going to put it back to normal now. So pan those out, pan those out, pan those out. And I'll take that off because I'm not going to use it. The stereo tool doesn't change the sound, by the way. I just thought I'd just mention that. And just to finish off, I'm going to flick between these versions and we can just listen to it once more. I'll just put that back to 0 where it was. So there we have it, harmonic generation in the master versus harmonic generation in the channels. I think you should decide which is the version that you like best, but as I said previously, it can go either way. I'm David Mellor, Course Director of Audio Masterclass. Thank you for listening.